Hello everyone, if you're new here, my name is Joy and I am living with an incurable autoimmune disease called systemic lupus erythematosus. Feel free to join me through the trials and triumphs of my journey. Please subscribe, like, and watch as I manage my symptoms with the purpose of living a happy, healthy, and long life. I'm going to jump right into this week's vlog topic and the effects that lupus can have on our skin. You may have heard of lupus pernio and cutaneous lupus. These are forms of lupus that mostly affect the skin. Approximately 2/3 of people with lupus will develop some type of skin disease, most of which will appear on sun-exposed areas of your body, such as your face, your ears, necks, arm, and legs. For some people, the disease worsens by having had exposure to ultraviolet rays from sunlight or artificial light. My most recent struggles started back in January 2022 when I started getting breakouts on my face. At this point in the video, I think I should share with you what my face looked like back in January of 2022. Initially, the breakout started on my face, and it resembled a rash that I would experience growing up in the summer months here in Florida. And because this breakout looked so familiar, there was no rush to find a resolve, because I figured in a month or so that the breakouts would go away. By the time March 2022 came around, I started to be a little bit more concerned, so I decided to go online and do a little bit of research. After ruling out several forms of acne, I self-diagnosed myself with having a skin fungal infection. The name is folliculitis, and it's an infection in the pockets where your hair grows. After spending a month investing in and using over-the-counter products, I decided that it was probably time to see a professional. In early May, I decided to go in to see my primary care physician. Performed a thorough examination. She thought the issue could be with cystic acne. So at that time, she prescribed a low dose of antibiotics, instructed me to take it for 2 weeks, and scheduled me for a follow-up in early June. As instructed, I took the antibiotics for 2 weeks, and about the 3rd week, there still had been 0 results. I returned to my primary care physician's office in June as instructed. After re-examining my skin, she told me that the skin issue could possibly be related to lupus. So at that point, she referred me to a specialist. The earliest appointment that I can get with the dermatologist was mid-July. He completed a thorough examination of my skin. We discussed lupus to an extent after he shared with me that his ex-wife had lupus. He understood the varying degrees of issues that surrounds lupus patients in their skin. I gave him a little bit of background on when I noticed the changes starting to happen with my skin. We talked about stress and hormones triggering acne in women over the age of 50. And then we discussed my primary care physician's diagnosis and her treatment plan. After examining my skin, he ruled out the possibility of me having cystic acne. But unfortunately, at that time, he could not confirm anything without performing a biopsy to rule out lupus. At this point, he didn't think another round of an antibiotic would be useful. However, he did put me on a high dose of retin-A. He instructed me to use the retin-A, aka a tretinoin cream, for a month before our follow-up appointment that was scheduled for August of 2022. I used the retin-A as directed. I applied the cream at night. I used sunscreen during the day, and I was asked to avoid sunlight at all costs, and that's nothing new to lupus patients. 30 days later, I returned to my dermatologist's office, and let me just add that the Retin-A did absolutely nothing for my skin. After the brief examination with my dermatologist, he concluded two things. I did not have inflammatory acne, and based on the results from the lab, the condition that I was having was not lupus related. My dermatologist then shared with me that I needed to find a good medical esthetician who could treat my skin to improve the external appearance. Needless to say, I was very disappointed in the diagnosis, but in time, it turned out to be the best advice that he could have possibly given me. In my research, I have found that dermatologists treat skin issues that affects deep layers beyond the skin surface. And the esthetician treats the surface layer of the skin and provides long-term care that results in improvement of your skin over time. 2 weeks after my follow-up examination with my dermatologist, I took his advice and I found myself a certified medical esthetician locally here in Brevard County. I started my first treatment with Kristi Aesthetics on day 1. She advised me to stop taking any topical or oral meds that were prescribed by the doctors. Her first course of action was extraction of the buildup in each and every pimple. There were areas where some of the blackheads were so deep beneath the skin. Her plan was to prep the face for a series of chemical peels. At the conclusion of my first session, my face was red and swollen in some of the areas where the extractions took place. I was instructed to return in 3 weeks so we could start the chemical peels. During those 3 weeks, my skin began to heal from the extractions. When I would rub my face, I didn't feel a lump or nodules underneath the skin, which I was very happy. 3 weeks later, I returned to Kristi's office to start the chemical peel process. The peel lasted for about an hour, and then a week later, I returned to her office for a post-peel. The purpose of the post-peel is to clear up any dryness or flaky skin that was caused as a result of the initial peel. She then reevaluated my skin and determined that I would need multiple chemical peels in order to get my skin to optimum shape. Over the course of 2 months, she performed a second, third, and fourth chemical peel, and each of those peels were followed up by a post-peel treatment. Within a 3-month time frame, my skin had cleared up substantially. My skin was 95% improved. 95% improvement is great, but the work for me doesn't stop here. Moving forward, I will make sure that I see Kristi at least once a month for regular facials, and I'll just consider this preventative maintenance. Next week's vlog, I will post a second part of this video. I will show you Kristi doing her best work as she completes a facial beyond the skin surface.